Hey everybody, welcome back to Sportsnet Central Montreal. Now the Grey Cup kicks off this weekend, a matchup between the Calgary Stampeders and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. To break it all down, we bring in Stephen Brunt from our Sportsnet studios in Toronto. How's it going, Stephen?
Hey Wilder, how are you?
Now the divisions were completely lopsided this year. I mean, let's face it, with the West dominating the East. Are these two teams really the two teams that deserve to be there?
Well, there's no issue with Calgary. There's no asterisk beside them. They were the best team in the league all year. They only lost 3 games. They crushed Edmonton in the Western Final. I don't think there's any question they've been the class of the CFL really from day one to until now. East was different. You know, everybody was awful, especially the first half of the year. Hamilton lost 6 of their first 7 games. But I think if you look at the way they finished the season, albeit with a few bumps along the road, they could have made their lives a little easier going into the playoffs. But they beat the second best team in the East, Montreal, twice down the stretch. And I guess that's enough. They will be distinct underdogs going in, but I think it's hard to argue that they don't deserve to be the Eastern representative.
The Stampeders dominating, and a big part of that is John Cornish winning 13 of their last 14 games. You mentioned the word upset. Is that possible at all?
Well, it's possible. It's always possible, and we have seen upsets in the Grey Cup before. But you mentioned John Cornish. That's where it all starts for Hamilton. If John Cornish has a big day, it's not possible. Hamilton will lose, and they'll probably lose pretty decisively. John Cornish is the best player in the league. He led the league in rushing. He only played half a season. He still led the league in rushing. So for Hamilton, it all starts with shutting him down, or at least slowing him down. And then some things could happen. They're going to need a little bit of luck too.
He's one man, but here in Montreal, Alouettes fans know something about one player changing a game, like punt returner Brandon Banks last week. Which players can steal a win for their team this weekend?
Well, you mentioned one, Brandon Banks. Although you can't count on that, I don't think, from the return game. That was an unbelievable game he had last week. 2 touchdowns on punt returns. Could have had 3, but for a penalty. But obviously, he's going to give Calgary something to think about in terms of special teams. But I think when we get to the game itself, the regular kind of offense versus defense, you're obviously looking at the 2 quarterbacks, Bo Levi-Mitchell and Zach Collaros. Bo Levi-Mitchell has had a tremendous year in his first real full year as a starter. Collaros has had injury issues off and on. I thought he was concussed in each of the last 2 games. I guess not, but he's a tough guy. Still, I think in some ways learning the position. But if you want to look for other players who could be game breakers, on the Calgary side, their best receiver is Marquoy McDaniel, former Ticat. They've got old Nick Lewis there if he plays. Might be his last game in Calgary. So those are 2 guys to watch for. And on the Hamilton side, they don't necessarily have a game-breaking receiver aside from Brandon Banks when he plays on offense. Their best guys are possession guys. So Luke Tasker, maybe Andy Fantuz if he's healthy. And another one who will be really important for Hamilton is Nick Grigsby, the running back who came over late from Winnipeg, had a really good game in the Eastern Final. If they can establish the run and keep that Calgary offense off the field, that'll be half the battle.
Hey, listen, you said it. Anything can happen, especially when it's the Grey Cup. Thanks for shining a light on this, Stephen. We'll see you next week.